Hi, my name is Blake. This is Benedict Cumberbeak. He's also known as Benny. He's my shop assistant. Welcome to the Sabertooth Beaver channel. So this is subscriber 0 day and we're just starting out. We wanted to dedicate this channel to fathers, and I wanted to pay tribute to my dad today by starting out, and this video is all about him. And I wanted to introduce my dad to you. I think you'll like him. My dad and I sat in the garage at his workbench and built a 1/48 scale F-15 model when I was a boy. We painted it blue with leftover 1980s flat house paint from one of our bedrooms. He helped me hang it in the corner of my room by a nail. For my next birthday, he got me an airbrush and an air tank to paint model fighter jets. We filled my room with enough aircraft to form my own Air Force. My desk in my room turned into my first workbench as I started building more models on my own. I spent many a hot California evening with a box fan and a radio building fighter jets. We never thought to take a picture of the workbench in the garage when I was growing up on Briarwood Avenue, but somehow it was one of the most important places in my boyhood. It was one of the places I got to spend time with my dad. I just built a new bench in my garage. It's a bit of a gold shrine to DeWalt, but really it's a monument to all the things I got to do with my dad. It represents things he taught me and hobbies I adopted for the rest of my life. It's a cozy place to spend the evenings and the weekends with my own kids. The workbench is a place I got to know my dad, and he taught me little lessons that would stick with me throughout my life. Now it's my happy place, a place to tinker and to create, to build and to share valuable moments with my children and my pets. My first job I can remember as oldest child and official helper was to hold the flashlight for my dad. He always had mini-mag flashlights. He would get mad when I got distracted by an ant on the cement floor and the light beam came off of what we were working on. I dropped the flashlight once and broke the bulb. Rather than got mad, he showed me the secret bulb compartment in the back. I thought that was the coolest secret ever. I wondered what other secrets he would share with me. If holding a flashlight was hard for me, fetching the right tool was almost impossible. He would direct me to go get the black-handled small channel locks and the small ratchet with the 5/16 socket. It was just 2.5 tools, but a sentence like that would give me anxiety because even if I knew the tool names, I was destined to grab the wrong one, and then he would get frustrated with me. He expected the son of a mechanic to know tools as well as he did. Oh, and if I didn't come back fast enough, he would get a little testy too. I can still hear his voice in my head in my own garage, even though I am now 45 years old. His voice in my head is usually calm and clear, but sometimes he still yells at me. Secure your workpiece. Wear shoes when you're in the shop. And gloves too. Wear eye protection. Is that really the right tool for this job? Don't forget to put your tools away. Then there was that one phrase. It was elusive and was almost whispered with reverence. Attaboy. That 2-word phrase would give me chills and have me walking on clouds the rest of the day. My dad gave me a book for Christmas one year. It was leaning against my stocking that morning. The Way Things Work, an illustrated encyclopedia of technology. I still have that book today. He would often tell us to go and look it up. That meant to go to the den and get into the library. Looking it up back then usually started with an analog Google search through the World Book encyclopedias. We could look up a few paragraphs on almost any subject until the G book went missing. All that G knowledge disappeared in our household until we got a computer some years later. He taught me how to find the answers I didn't know. To this day, if I'm starting a project, the first step is usually an order of 3 to 5 books on the subject that I will either browse or read until I know enough to get myself in trouble. My dad worked with his hands. He was a heavy engine mechanic. He always said, "I'll probably die with a wrench in my hand." The folds of his fingers were never really clean. Oil and grease soaked in and stained his skin. One of his thumbnails was perpetually cracked. It was so bad it didn't heal completely until he quit working on cars every day. Every time it would start to heal, it would get pinched again and split right back open. He never missed work though. He worked through thumb injuries, back injuries, and a probable broken hand. It's just what he did. He took pride in work and providing for his family. I think I got a little bit of that from him. Since my dad worked with engines, he washed his hands with lava soap. He always had lava soap in his shower. I associated that soap with taking care of a family and washing the work off at the end of the day. I have lava soap in my shower too, because even though I'm 45, I still want to be like my dad. When I was a Cub Scout, I came home with my first Pinewood Derby kit. We spent evenings for a week shaping and sanding and then painting the first car. It was so exciting to get ready for race night. My dad and I built a gold and green car with a cockpit for a Lego minifigure. I lost the Lego guy years ago, but I still have the car on display in my case in my office. That was the slowest car we ever built, but it was the first of many, and for me, it was about the process of the design and the build more than the winning of the race. We won a lot the next few years, but I'll never forget building the first one with him. When it was time for my kids to race, we had a few more resources. We went a little crazy and ordered the Pinewood Derby Bible. It's on the physics of the Pinewood Derby. It's basically a textbook about Pinewood Derby. That new knowledge turned into a car I called the Neglected Wife, and a fan-propelled car that required a feather pillow to stop it at the finish line. I tend to overdo things. My dad just shakes his head at me now. When I got a little bit older, my dad helped me earn the Woodworking Merit Badge and the Home Repairs Merit Badge. We had some fun fixing a window screen, patching cement, and building a cool wood box I still use today. Woodworking knowledge came in handy when I made gifts for girls I dated. It culminated with a jewelry box for my wife. As a newlywed, I didn't own many tools, so I built the jewelry box in my dad's garage. It was my final project before I had my own workshop. We did a lot away from the workbench, too. My dad taught me how to throw and catch a baseball. He taught me how to hit. He was at my very first Little League game. He came to almost all my games by going into work early and skipping lunch to get all of his work done so he could come and watch me play. I wonder how many hours he spent watching me through the chain-link fences of baseball backstops. I have a memory of him yelling, "Get out of here, ball," after I connected with my first home run. My dad gave himself tennis elbow pitching to me and throwing wild pitches at me in our backyard to do catcher blocking drills. He would throw at me until we were both exhausted. I remember him throwing pop-ups to me in the street when I was about 10 years old. It was getting dark and he yelled out, "It's time!" The streetlights were coming on. I yelled out, "Just one more!" He tossed one more fly ball into the sky, and I lost track of it in the streetlight. It fell from the sky past my glove, and I saw a flash of light as the ball broke my nose. Blood gushed everywhere. Just one more has been a running joke in our family ever since. My dad was there my senior year during a preseason game where I got my first at-bat on the varsity team. I hit a triple into deep right center. On the next play, I dove headfirst into the catcher, knocking the ball loose and scoring. I batted 1,000 as a senior in high school, and he came to every game to watch me sit the bench that season. I don't know why I never got another shot. I just warmed up the pitchers in the bullpen every game. Even though I made my college team, that was my last at-bat in an official game. I think he was more heartbroken than I was about how that season turned out. But he was always there and always supported me, even during that hard time. He saw my first at-bat and my last one, and most of the ones in between. I could always count on my dad being there. He took us camping and backpacking when we were boys. He helped me earn the camping merit badge. I enjoyed talking to him outside next to a campfire. On one trip, I sat on a cactus and my dad spent an hour pulling needles out of my back end. I don't trust that job to too many people. He laughed at me the whole time, but he got the job done. My dad taught me to fish at Lake Gregory early on Saturday mornings. We always got hot cocoa at 7-Eleven on the way there. We rented a rowboat and found out how dangerous it was to ask to use the bathroom after we set anchor. He taught me the secondary use for a soda bottle. He took me to Colorado to deer hunt when I was old enough. I got an attaboy when I shot my first deer at age 17. He walked up and shook my hand. After he taught me to drive, we bought a 1972 Plymouth Duster. He got the interior redone just in time for me to cut someone off and wreck the car. Then he did something crazy. He let me drive his 1975 Dodge Ram with a camper shell with curtains and a couch in the back that folded into a bed. I'm sure my girlfriend's mom did not appreciate seeing me pull up for a date in that vehicle. But just for the record, I didn't crash the Duster as bad as my brother crashed the truck. Just saying. I did learn a lot about fixing cars. I learned that if you crash one bad enough, it's not worth fixing. And I learned that if my brother crashes one bad enough, you can actually bend the frame in half. My dad taught me about love. I watched him love my mom my entire life. My parents just hit their 50th wedding anniversary. My wife and I will hit our 24th this year and hope to make it to 50 in due time. He taught me how to love one woman with a passion that you can't understand until you've spent 20 years with a woman and still miss her while you're at work. So at the end of the day, we'd get home, we'd move the current project off of the workbench, put the fishing poles away, put the hunting gear away, put the baseballs away, and then go into the house and put the trophies by the fireplace for that day and close up shop. It's been an adventure having my dad as a father. I'm grateful for all the things that all the time that he spent with us, all the things that he's done with us. It's been a wonderful experience. I love you, Dad. Thank you for everything you've done for us, and look forward to as many more years as we get together. Love you.